Chosen one. Pause right here. The test you are walking through is not to crush you, but to confirm you. Heaven has its eyes on you. Your struggle is not random. It is the mark of someone chosen for a breakthrough so large that it will echo through generations. Think about the blacksmith's hammer striking iron. Each strike looks violent, but every blow shapes the weapon into strength. That's what this season feels like. You are not abandoned in the fire. You are being forged. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. That is the word over you right now. You are not weak. You are not overlooked. You are being strengthened, sharpened, and steadied for what's coming. I want to tell you a story. There was once a young man marked as a chosen one. He dreamed big dreams. He spoke of visions larger than himself. But instead of immediate favor, he found himself betrayed, sold, and left in a pit. For years he thought he had lost everything. Yet, in the shadows, God was building a ruler. The pit was not his prison, it was his preparation. One day, the very ones who betrayed him had to bow before the authority God gave him. You know his name, Joseph. And in many ways, that is your story too. You are standing in a test that looks like loss, but it is actually strategy. When doors close, God is not saying never, He is saying not yet. Because I am making room for something greater. Look deeper. Imagine a pearl forming inside an oyster. It begins as an irritation, a grain of sand that rubs against the flesh. Painful, annoying, but over time, layers build, and the irritation becomes treasure. That is your test. It feels like grit, but God is turning it into glory. Chosen one. This trial is also your training ground. If you can handle the silence, you will be trusted with the sound of abundance. If you can stay faithful with little, you will be trusted with much. If you can carry rejection, you will be trusted with recognition. Every test is the soil where promotion grows. I know it feels lonely. Isolation is heavy. People may not understand why you had to step back, why you lost connections, why you are walking a road so narrow. But remember this, separation always comes before elevation. No eagle soars in flocks. You were set apart for a reason. Right now, I ask you to open your spirit. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin to ask, "What is this preparing me for?" The moment your perspective shifts, your heart will find peace in the middle of the storm. Listen carefully. Millionaire breakthroughs, kingdom finances, generational wealth. These are not given lightly. They are weighty, holy assignments. And because you are marked for it, your test must match the size of your calling. Don't confuse delay with denial. God is simply stretching your capacity so you can carry what He is about to place in your hands. Chosen one. If this word is resonating with your spirit, don't keep it silent. Click like right now so this message continues to reach others in their season of testing. Share it with someone walking through a valley, because your encouragement might be the key to their survival. And if you have not yet, subscribe so you never miss a word that heaven has aligned for your journey. At this very moment, as a prophetic act, comment the number 77, the number of divine completion, declaring by faith that your test will not end in failure, but in fulfillment. You are not being buried, you are being planted. You are not being broken, you are being built. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. The test is not the end. It is the opening chapter of your breakthrough. You may not see it now, but even in the hidden places, heaven is keeping record. Every tear you've cried, every silent prayer, every moment you chose to stand instead of collapsing, God has stored them up like treasures. Nothing has been wasted. This test is evidence that something greater is on the way. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders. The night will not last forever, and the morning is closer than you think. The same God who sustained Joseph in the pit, who raised David from the pasture, and who lifted Esther into the palace, he is writing your story. Chosen one. When God sets his hand upon your life, one of the first things he does is separate you. Isolation may sting, but it is heaven's strategy. You cannot hear his whisper if you are lost in the noise of the crowd. You cannot step into your assignment if you are chained to people who only see you as common. The test of isolation is not meant to harm you, it is meant to draw you closer to his voice. Think of a shepherd leading his flock. At times, the shepherd will separate a single sheep from the group, not to abandon it, but to give it special care. Sometimes it is to treat a wound. Sometimes it is to protect it from danger. Other times it is to prepare it for leading others. That picture is your life right now. You feel set apart because you are. I remember hearing the story of a man who carried a deep calling on his life. He had the heart to build, to serve, and to create wealth for the kingdom. Yet before he could step into that assignment, God pulled him into a season of solitude. Old friendships faded. Familiar voices grew silent. For months, even years. He wondered if something was wrong with him. What he did not see was that heaven was uncluttering his environment so that divine instruction could flow clearly. When the time of isolation ended, he stepped forward with clarity, and everything he touched began to prosper. Chosen one. Do not mistake loneliness for abandonment. God never leaves his own. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. In fact, some of the greatest voices in Scripture knew this path well. Moses was hidden in the desert before leading Israel. Elijah sat alone by a brook before confronting kings. Even Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray. Solitude is not your enemy, it is your sacred training ground. Imagine a violin maker selecting wood. Not just any tree will do. He searches for one that has grown in silence, away from noise, often in high places where winds are fierce. That wood, tested by the elements, produces the clearest, richest sound. In the same way, God isolates you so that when the time comes, your life will carry a resonance the world cannot ignore. You may feel the ache of missing voices, of seeing people move forward while you wait. But hear this, their pace is not your pace. You are not behind, you are being refined. God is not measuring you against anyone else. He is carving your path with precision. And sometimes, precision requires silence. The writings of David in the Psalms remind us. Chapter 62, verse 5. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. That is the anchor for you in this hour. Your rest, your hope, and your clarity are not found in the noise of the world, but in the quiet presence of God. Chosen one. This separation will also reveal the weight of your relationships. When God sets you apart, He exposes who truly values you for your calling and who only valued you for convenience. Do not be surprised if some grow distant when you can no longer meet their expectations. Let them go. You cannot carry dead weight into your promised land. The wilderness strips you of counterfeit attachments, so only covenant connections remain. Think of clay in the hands of a potter. Before it can be shaped, it must be cut away from the excess, pressed down, and spun alone on the wheel. The potter's hands apply pressure, turning it over and over until the vessel takes form. That is what isolation feels like. You are spinning, pressed, sometimes dizzy, but all under the steady hand of the Master. And when He is finished, you will be a vessel fit for purpose. This season also teaches you to value stillness. The world glorifies constant motion, endless activity, and shallow noise. But in silence, you discover depth. In solitude, you learn discernment. You begin to distinguish between your own thoughts, the voices of others, and the whisper of God. That kind of clarity cannot be bought. It is formed only in hidden seasons. So, do not despise the quiet. Do not fight the solitude. Lean into it. Let it cleanse you of distractions. Let it sharpen your ears to heaven. Let it prepare you for the weight of the assignment that lies ahead. Chosen one, you are not forsaken. You are set apart. You are not forgotten. You are being focused. The weight you feel is not a prison. It is protection. And when this season of isolation completes its work, you will rise carrying a strength, a vision, and a voice that could only be forged in the secret place. Chosen one. One of the fiercest tests you face is not outside of you, but within you. Hidden battles rage in the quiet spaces of your heart and mind. The voices of doubt, the whispers of fear, the memories of past wounds, they all rise to challenge the destiny God has placed upon you. Others may see your smile, but they do not see the war behind your eyes. Yet heaven says, and heaven is equipping you to win. Think of a soldier in training. Long before he enters the battlefield, he must conquer his own panic, his own hesitation, his own inner limits. Victory is not only about swords and shields, it begins with the discipline of the mind. That is the same truth for you. The battles inside you are sharpening your faith, building your endurance, and preparing you for authority in the battles that lie ahead. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This scripture is more than advice, it is a weapon. Your heart is the command center of your destiny. If you let bitterness, fear, or shame live there, it will pollute everything you touch. But if you guard it with truth, hope, and courage, you will see fruit overflow in every area of life. I remember a young man who carried enormous potential. He had vision, skill, and opportunity. But every night, he fought the voices of failure that told him he was not enough. For years, he wrestled in silence until one day he realized that the voice of fear had become louder than the voice of God. When he finally surrendered his thoughts in prayer, things shifted. The opportunities that had once intimidated him began to bow to the authority of his renewed mind. His battle was not with the world, it was with himself. Once he won inside, Everything outside followed. Chosen one. You may be in that same place now. The doubts creep in. What if I fail? What if I am not worthy? What if God has forgotten me? These are not the voice of truth. They are echoes from the pit, hoping to keep you small. Remember this: light does not need to argue with darkness. It simply shines, and darkness flees. You do not have to fight every lie, just hold on to truth, and the lies will lose their grip. Picture a lighthouse on the edge of the sea. Waves crash, storms rage, and winds howl. Yet the lighthouse does not argue with the storm. It simply stands, its light piercing through the chaos. That is what your soul must become. The hidden battles will not drown you if you choose to stand. And here is a mystery. The very battles that scare you now are the ones God will use to give you authority later. The wounds you are healing from will become words of wisdom for others. The tears you shed will water the soil of someone else's breakthrough. Nothing you face inside will be wasted. Take a breath right here. Feel the weight of that truth. You are not weak because you fight invisible wars. You are strong because you are still standing. Every time you resist the urge to give up, you are proving the enemy wrong. Every time you choose faith over fear, heaven writes another victory beside your name. Chosen one. I want you to mark this moment. In the comments below, type these words: I guard my heart. Write it as a declaration, as a shield, as a prophetic act. By speaking it out, you are aligning with Scripture itself. You are saying that your inner world will not be ruled by chaos, but by clarity and truth. This is not just a phrase, it is a stand. Your hidden battles may not be visible to others, but they are visible to God, and He has already declared you more than a conqueror. Guard your heart. Steady your mind. And remember, the war inside is not the end. It is the training ground for your crown. You must understand, chosen one, that guarding your heart is not a one-time act. It is a daily decision, a discipline that transforms into strength. Each thought you capture, each lie you reject, each truth you embrace, these are small victories that build into unshakable resilience. The crown God has prepared does not rest on careless hearts, it rests on hearts fortified by truth. So let your inner battles become testimonies. Let every scar speak of survival. Let every tear become a seed of wisdom. One day, you will look back and realize that the fiercest wars inside of you were actually the training fields for the authority you now carry. Chosen one. One of the hardest lessons you will learn in this journey is the difference between delay and denial. When doors shut in front of you, when opportunities slip away, and when time seems to stretch endlessly, it is tempting to believe that heaven has rejected you. But God's silence is not His absence. His delay is not His denial. Imagine a gardener planting a seed. He buries it deep in the soil, waters it faithfully, and then waits. For days, sometimes weeks, nothing appears above the ground. If you looked at the soil during that time, you might think the seed had died. But beneath the surface, life is stirring. Roots are pushing downward, unseen and uncelebrated, preparing the plant for its future growth. That hidden work takes time, and in the same way, your delay is simply the rooting process before your breakthrough. This is not wasted time. It is preparation time. Your steps may feel slow, but heaven is building the infrastructure for what you are about to carry. Delay is the classroom where endurance is taught, patience is refined, and trust in God becomes unshakable. Consider Abraham. He was promised descendants as numerous as the stars. Yet he waited years before the first child of promise was born. Think of Hannah, who cried out for a child until the day Samuel came into her arms, or Joseph, who spent long years in prison even after receiving dreams of greatness. None of them were denied. They were delayed, because the fullness of their promise required perfect timing. According to the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27, verse 14, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." These words hold power for you. They remind you that waiting is not weakness, it is courage. It takes strength to remain steady when everything in you wants to rush ahead. I recall a woman who dreamed of building her own business to fund kingdom work. She prayed, studied, and prepared. Yet, doors kept closing, loans were denied, partner disappeared, and opportunities dried up. At first, she thought God had said no. But later she discovered that those delays had kept her from stepping into a toxic partnership that would have drained her destiny. When the right time came, the door opened effortlessly, and the resources she needed were placed into her hands. She looked back and realized that every delay had been a layer of protection. Chosen one. Sometimes God's greatest mercy is in the doors He does not allow to open. You might think you are missing out, but in truth, you are being shielded. The no you hear today is often the yes of tomorrow in disguise. Picture a bridge under construction. Until the foundation is finished, no one is allowed to cross. The delay is not because the bridge is useless, but because it is not yet safe. Once completed, the bridge can carry heavy loads for generations. That is what God is doing in your life. He is building a foundation strong enough to carry not only your breakthrough, but also the breakthroughs of those who will follow after you. Delays also reveal the state of your heart. They expose impatience, frustration, and hidden idols. They press you to answer a simple but piercing question: do I trust God even when I cannot trace Him? And when you choose trust, something powerful shifts. You begin to see the waiting not as punishment, but as preparation. Chosen one. In this season of delay, learn to value what cannot be rushed. Relationships that are meant for you will not pass you by. Opportunities aligned with heaven will wait for you. Resources destined for your assignment will arrive at the appointed time. Nothing that belongs to you in God's plan can ever be stolen by time. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not grow bitter because the pace feels slow. A delayed train is still on the track. It may not arrive when you expect, but it will arrive when it is ready. Trust that God has already scheduled your arrival into promise. So, breathe. Release the frustration that builds when time stretches. Remind yourself that heaven is never late and never careless. If the breakthrough has not come yet, it means the foundation is still being laid. It means the roots are still spreading. It means protection is still covering you. Delay is the shadow before dawn. It is the pause before the music begins. It is the silence before heaven speaks. And when the time is right, the doors that once resisted you will swing open, not by your strength, but by the command of the one who holds all seasons in his hands. Chosen one. Let me tell you something the world rarely says aloud. You carry wealth within you. not the kind that fades with markets, not the kind that rust consumes or thieves steal. You carry kingdom wealth, and your journey through tests and trials has been preparing you to handle it well. When God entrusts someone with abundance, it is never for selfish display, it is always for divine assignment. Think of water flowing through a river. The water is not meant to stay in one place, it is meant to move, to refresh, to give life to the land it touches. In the same way, the resources God is placing in your hands are meant to flow, to refresh lives, to fund dreams, to lift others into hope. The Apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 11, "You will be enriched in every way, so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God." This is not just about money, it is about mission. Prosperity has purpose, and you are chosen to carry it. I once knew a man who grew up with nothing. He remembered nights when his family had no food and mornings when his shoes had holes. As he grew older, God blessed the work of his hands. He built businesses, and opportunities flowed to him. But the true mark of his calling came when he realized that his wealth was not only his, it was a tool. He began funding scholarships for children like himself, feeding families, and supporting ministries. And each time he gave, he felt freer, lighter, and closer to God. His abundance became a song of thanksgiving in many homes. Chosen one, your life is carrying that same potential. Every coin, every gift, every resource placed in your hands can become a seed. Seeds may seem small, but when planted, they grow into trees that shelter many. Imagine a single apple seed, tiny, unimpressive, but when sown into the ground, it grows into a tree that bears hundreds of apples over its lifetime. From those apples come even more seeds, multiplying without end. That is what generosity does. Now hear me clearly. This is not about pressure. This is not about being forced. This is about freedom. Giving is never a chain, it is a key that unlocks overflow, not just for you, but for countless others. When you like and share this message, you are already planting seeds of hope, seeds that may blossom into courage in the heart of someone standing on the cliff of despair. When you subscribe, it is like drawing water from a well that never runs dry. You return week after week to be refreshed, strengthened, and ready for the journey. And if your heart feels led to donate, think of it as pouring oil into a lamp. That oil keeps the flame alive, so the lighthouse of this message can shine further, guiding lost souls through their storm. Some may be listening right now in tears, needing a word that keeps them from collapsing. Your act of sharing, subscribing, or even sowing into this mission becomes the oil that allows the message to reach them in time. And when they stand up again, when they find hope again, you are part of that miracle. But let me be clear, whether you give or not, you are loved. Whether you share or not, this word is still for you. You are chosen not because of what you can give, but because of who you are in God's plan. Yet, if your heart feels stirred, if you sense that pull to add your drop of oil to this flame, know that heaven sees it. Every act of generosity is recorded, and no seed ever goes unnoticed. You are stepping into a season where your hands will overflow, and as you learn to open those hands, both to receive and to release, you will discover a rhythm of abundance that never runs dry. Wealth is not only about keeping, it is about channeling. You are a vessel, and through you, blessings will flow to families, to communities, to nations. So let your giving, whether it is your attention, your sharing, your subscription, or your resources, be a song of freedom. Let it be like rivers of living water, flowing from you to the thirsty, bringing life wherever it touches. Chosen one, never forget this truth. Prosperity with purpose is your inheritance. You carry kingdom wealth, not only in your wallet, but in your words, in your actions, and in your heart. And as you continue to walk faithfully through every test, God is shaping you into a steward of abundance who will change lives simply by being obedient. Chosen one, in this journey of testing and breakthrough, heaven often leaves you small but undeniable signs. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. They are the whispers of God woven into the fabric of your everyday life, reminding you that you are not lost, not forgotten, and not walking this path alone. Have you noticed how certain numbers, dreams, or words seem to repeat around you? Perhaps you keep seeing the same sequence of numbers, hearing the same verse, or encountering the same phrase from different people. This is not random. It is heaven's way of telling you, stay alert. You are right where I need you to be. Oh, the prophet Haggai recorded in chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house. And in this place I will grant peace, declares the Lord Almighty." This word speaks directly to your life right now. The signs you see are pointing you toward greater glory, not lesser days. What is ahead of you is weightier and brighter than what lies behind. Let me share a story. A woman once felt abandoned in her waiting season. She prayed for years, but nothing seemed to shift. Then one evening, while reading, she noticed the number 8 appearing repeatedly in a book, in a receipt, even on her clock. She later learned that 8 represents new beginnings. It was as if God himself was saying, "Your chapter of waiting is closing. I am doing a new thing." Not long after, fresh opportunities opened. Doors she had never even knocked on swung wide, and she realized heaven had been preparing her heart through those subtle signs. Chosen one, perhaps you too have been seeing patterns, numbers, or words that stand out. Do not dismiss them. They are like breadcrumbs left on your path, leading you toward the promise. Heaven communicates not only in thunder, but also in whispers. And these prophetic confirmations are reminders to keep walking. Even when the road feels uncertain, picture a sailor navigating in the night. He cannot see the entire ocean, but he spots guiding stars above. Those stars give him enough direction to stay the course until the morning comes. In the same way, prophetic numbers and signs are stars in your midnight, helping you stay aligned when visibility is low. The truth is, your destiny is too great to be guided only by human logic. God used divine nudge dreams, scriptures, numbers to remind you that your path is ordered, and though others may call them coincidences, you know deep down that heaven is speaking. Chosen one. These signs also serve as anchors for your faith. When the storms of doubt arise, when the voices of fear grow loud, you can point back and say, "I know God spoke here, I saw his confirmation. I cannot be swayed. These are not mere moments, they are markers on your journey. Like memorial stones in the Old Testament that testified to God's faithfulness, think of it like a painter leaving hidden signatures in every masterpiece. To the untrained eye, it might look like random brush strokes, but to those who know, it is proof of the artist's hand. Your life bears those divine signatures, and each time you notice them, your heart should leap with assurance. The master artist is still at work. Now, I want you to take a step of faith. In the comments, type this prophetic number, 888. It is a symbol of new beginnings, a sign that old cycles are finished, and a declaration that you are stepping into God's fresh season for your life. Chosen one. Never underestimate the way God communicates. He does not always shout from mountaintops. Often, he leaves gentle traces, numbers, symbols, whispers that reassure you in your weariness. The fact that you are noticing them means your spirit is awake, tuned, ready. And that readiness is the very thing that will keep you from missing the door when it opens. So lift your eyes. Pay attention. Keep record of the signs, for they are the footprints of God leading you forward. Each one is a promise that your present trial is not the end, but the prelude to breakthrough. You see, chosen one. Every sign you receive is like a love letter from heaven. It may seem small, almost ordinary, but when your spirit catches it, you realize God is reminding you, I am still here. I am still guiding. These signs are not random sparks, they are divine markers, placed so you will not lose your way in the dark. So, treasure them, write them down, revisit them when your faith feels thin, for one day you will look back and see how each sign, every number, every whisper, every confirmation was part of the map that led you straight into your breakthrough. Chosen one. One of the most difficult parts of your calling is watching how others respond to you. It is no secret, when God marks you, it becomes impossible to blend in. Your light unsettles those who prefer darkness. Your vision threatens those who are comfortable in limitation. Your persistence exposes the complacency of people who would rather stay asleep. And so, they mock, they whisper, they betray, and they even attempt to push you down. But what they do not realize is that every stone thrown your way only builds the platform of your elevation. Consider Joseph again. His brothers could not stand the sight of him, not because he had harmed them, but because the dream inside him made them uncomfortable. They stripped him of his coat and threw him into a pit. To them, it was the end. To God, it was the beginning. Their betrayal was the exact force that propelled him into Egypt, the very place where his destiny awaited. The enemy's schemes are often the delivery system for your promotion. The prophet Nahum wrote in chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." These words hold you steady when betrayal burns. They remind you that God does not abandon his chosen, even when people do. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who carried a quiet strength. She worked diligently, loved deeply, and walked in integrity. Yet those around her gossiped, twisting her kindness into weakness, her humility into foolishness. She wept alone, wondering why her goodness was repaid with cruelty. What she didn't know was that God was using every harsh word as fuel. In time, Her perseverance caught the attention of someone with great influence, and her life shifted overnight. Those who ridiculed her were forced to watch her rise, unable to deny the hand of God upon her. Chosen one, when you are mocked, do not despair. Their laughter is temporary. Your vindication will be permanent. Every betrayal, every wound, every rejection becomes a testimony of how God's favor outweighs human opinion. Picture a diamond. Before it shines, it lies hidden in the earth, surrounded by dirt and darkness. When discovered, it must endure cutting, chipping, and polishing. The process is harsh, but the result is breathtaking. That is you. The betrayals you face are not meant to destroy your worth. They are shaping you into brilliance. And here is the mystery. Sometimes God allows your enemies to stay close, not so they can break you, but so they can witness your rise. It is not vengeance, it is vindication. It is heaven's way of displaying His glory in your life. Just as Pharaoh had to see Joseph elevated, just as Haman had to watch Mordecai honored, so too will those who doubted you have to watch your destiny unfold. This truth is not meant to make you arrogant, it is meant to make you steadfast. Do not lower your light to make others comfortable. Do not shrink your dreams to avoid their jealousy. The very thing they resist is the very thing God is using to mark you. Remember, 2. That not every enemy is obvious. Sometimes betrayal comes from familiar faces, even from those you trusted most. Jesus Himself was betrayed not by a stranger, but by one of His 12. Yet even that betrayal was part of the plan, ushering Him into the greatest victory the world has ever known. If God could weave triumph out of betrayal then, He can do the same for you now. Chosen one, do not waste your tears on those who misunderstand you. Do not waste your energy trying to convince those who cannot see. Your assignment is too great to be trapped in proving yourself. Let your life, your resilience, your obedience be the proof. In time, it will be undeniable. Think of an arrow being drawn back on a bow. To an onlooker, it looks like retreat, like loss of ground, but the archer knows that the tension, the pullback, is only preparation for release. Betrayal feels like that backward pull, but soon you will be launched further than anyone expected. Hold your ground. Keep your heart soft, but your resolve firm. Those who mocked you will see. Those who betrayed you will witness. And when they do, the glory will not be yours alone. It will be a testament to the God who never left your side. They may not understand now, but they will not be able to deny later. Your rise will not be quiet, it will be radiant. And in that moment, every scar of betrayal will shine as proof that God's hand was always guiding you. Chosen one, there is a reason your path has passed through fire. Trials are not random interruptions, they are divine appointments. The moments that feel like breaking are actually the very ones shaping you into who you were meant to become. The fire you endure is not the kind that destroys, it is the kind that purifies. Think of gold, freshly mined from the earth. It is rough, mixed with stone and dirt, hardly recognizable as treasure. But when placed in the furnace, heat separates the pure from the impure. The fire draws out the dross until what remains is brilliance. That is your life in this season. Every test, every hardship, every painful loss, it is the refining process. The Word of God recorded in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, Verse 9 says, "This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them." This is not a curse, it is a promise. To be placed in the fire is proof that you are valuable. God does not waste flames on what has no worth. I recall a man who walked through relentless trials. His finances collapsed. Friendships dissolved. Even his health wavered. To many, it looked as if he was finished. But he began to see the fire differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" he began asking, "What is this purifying in me?" Slowly, he discovered pride burning away, fear dissolving, and dependence on others giving way to dependence on God. By the time his breakthrough arrived, he was not just restored, he was transformed. The fire had not stolen from him, it had prepared him for greater glory. Chosen one. The same is true for you. The heat you feel is not aimless suffering. It is targeted refinement. God knows what cannot go with you into the next season. Doubt, fear, unhealthy ties, and so he uses the fire to remove them. The flames are not your enemy. They are your escort into purity and power. Picture a potter with clay. When the vessel is shaped, it is placed in the kiln, exposed to heat so it can harden and endure. Without the fire, the clay would crumble at the first touch of pressure. Only through the fire does it gain strength to carry water, to serve its purpose. In the same way, your trial is hardening you not into bitterness, but into resilience. The fire also reveals the true. Many stand with you in comfort, but only those sent by God will remain when the heat rises. It is in seasons of trial that you discover who is truly aligned with your destiny and who was only attached to your convenience. This is not loss, it is clarity. Chosen one. I know the flames feel intense. I know nights feel long, and tears seem endless. But every moment you stay in the fire is one step closer to your unveiling. You are not being burned, you are being revealed. Think of a caterpillar sealed inside its cocoon. To the outside, it appears lifeless. Inside, pressure and transformation are at work. If the process were cut short, the butterfly would never emerge. In the same way, if your season of fire ended too soon, you would not step fully into the strength and beauty designed for you. The fire ensures completeness. And here is the hope. Fire never lasts forever. Even furnaces cool. Even storms end. What seems endless now will, in time, be remembered as the very thing that marked your turning point. You will look back and say, "It was in the fire that I found my true strength. It was in the trial that I discovered who I really am." Lend, chosen one. Take heart. If you are in the furnace, it is because heaven trusts that you can endure it. The fire is not punishment. It is evidence of your destiny. Let it burn away what is false. Let it strengthen what is true. Let it prepare you for the moment when your life shines with brilliance, unmistakable and unshakable. And when you emerge, the world will see a version of you they never imagined, stronger, brighter, more refined. The very people who thought the fire would consume you will stand astonished, unable to deny the glow of God's hand upon you. Chosen one. Do not fear the flames. They are not your grave, they are your gateway. Each trial is only making you more prepared, more resilient, more radiant. The fire is temporary, but the purity it produces will last a lifetime. carrying you into the season of breakthrough already written in heaven's plan. Chosen one. The fiercest battles do not always come from external attacks, but from the pressure of holding on to faith when everything seems to be against you. Trials stretch your endurance. Delays test your patience. Opposition challenges your conviction. And in the middle of it all, heaven watches to see, will you trust or will you turn back? According to the letter of James, chapter 1, verse 3, because you know the testing of your faith produce perseverance. Notice this, your trial is not meaningless, it is productive. The very pressure you feel is shaping endurance within you. Endurance that will carry you through seasons others could not survive. I remember the story of a man who faced wave after wave of hardship. Every time he thought relief was near, another obstacle rose. Bills piled up, relationships strained, health faltered. In the silence of his nights, he wondered if God had abandoned him. Yet something deep inside urged him to keep standing. He chose to hold on, not because circumstances encouraged him, but because he believed God's word more than his feelings. Years later, when his breakthrough came, it was so great that he understood why the trial had been so long. His endurance had carved a space for abundance to rest without crushing him. Chosen one. Faith under pressure is like a muscle under weight. The more it is tested, the stronger it becomes. The strain you feel now is not weakness, it is growth. Each time you choose trust over fear, hope over despair, and prayer over silence, you are building unshakable strength. Picture coal buried deep in the earth. Under pressure, it remains ordinary, black stone, but add enough time and weight, and it transforms into a diamond, unbreakable, radiant, priceless. Your trials are not wasted. They are the pressure points that will one day reveal the brilliance hidden inside you. Do not despise the pressure. It is evidence that heaven is investing in you. The enemy does not fight what he does not fear. The very reason you feel pressed is because your destiny is weighty, and though it feels unbearable at times, remember, you are not carrying this alone. When you feel close to breaking, remember that even the strongest steel is forged only in intense fire and pressure. What you are enduring is not disqualification. It is confirmation that you are destined for greatness. Chosen one. Pause for a moment and recognize this truth. If you have made it this far, it is proof you are stronger than you think. Your endurance is not a small thing. It is the very sign that you are ready for the crown promised to those who refuse to let go. Now I ask you to seal this in your spirit with a declaration. In the comments, type these words: pressure births diamonds. Let it be your reminder that what feels heavy today is not destroying you, it is creating value, beauty, and strength within you. By writing it, you are choosing to see your trial not as a curse, but as the very process of transformation. And when the pressure finally lifts, you will rise shining, resilient, and unshakable, carrying a crown of life that proves every tear and every trial was worth it. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. Pressure is not the enemy of your destiny, it is the midwife of your becoming. Just as a mother endures contractions before birth, so too must you endure the tightening weight of trials before your promise comes forth. The pain does not signal death, it signals delivery. Without pressure, there would be no new life. When you endure, something supernatural takes place within you. Fear loses its grip. Faith deepens its roots. Character gains stability. These hidden treasures are not formed in comfort, but in challenge. What feels like delay is actually construction, the building of a foundation so solid that no storm can collapse it. Consider a bridge designed to carry thousands of vehicles daily. Before it can be trusted, engineers test it with weight beyond normal use. The bridge groans under the load, but once proven, it stands unshaken for decades. You are that bridge. Chosen one. Your pressure test proves that you can carry the weight of influence, wealth, and impact without crumbling. So, when you whisper to yourself, "I don't know how much longer I can stand," remember this: you are not just standing for today, you are standing for the generations that will come after you. Your endurance is inheritance. Your perseverance is legacy. The pressure you bear now is the reason someone else will walk freely later. Chosen one. Do you realize how close you are? The pressure of these past seasons, the fire, the isolation, the betrayal, all of it has been pointing you toward one thing: breakthrough. You are not wandering in circles. You are walking straight into a shift so significant it will change not only your life, but the lives connected to you. Breakthrough is not a distant dream, it is right on the horizon. But here's the truth. Breakthroughs are rarely loud at the beginning. They arrive like dawn, slow and quiet, until suddenly the whole sky is filled with light. At first, you notice a faint glow, then a golden warmth, and before long, the night has completely vanished. That is how God is moving in your life. What feels faint right now will soon blaze in undeniable clarity. The book of Joshua, chapter 21, verse 45 declares, "Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled." That is your anchor. This is not just ancient history, it is proof that God's word does not expire. If He has spoken breakthrough over your life, it will happen. Not one promise will fall to the ground. I once heard the story of a man who worked years in obscurity, planting seeds of faith that seemed to vanish into the ground. Others mocked him, asking why he poured so much energy into something invisible. Yet he kept sowing, watering, and waiting. One day, like a field bursting into bloom overnight, everything shifted. Opportunities opened, relationships aligned, and resources flowed. What seemed barren was actually hidden preparation. That sudden bloom, that was his breakthrough. Chosen one. You are standing on the same edge. But here's what you must understand. Breakthroughs are not just for your comfort, they are for your commission. When God blesses you, He blesses through you, like a river. The flow is not meant to stop at your banks, it is meant to travel far, bringing life to every dry place it touches. Now let me speak from the heart. This message itself is a river. Every word that reaches you has cost oil, time, prayer, and energy. And here is where your role becomes part of the flow. When you like and share this message, it is like opening floodgates, letting the river reach valleys and homes you may never visit. Someone you don't even know might find the courage to keep breathing because you chose to share light. When you subscribe, it is like planting a seed in fertile soil. Each return to this space becomes water and sunlight for your faith, ensuring you grow steadily, not sporadically, This is not about numbers, it is about nurture. And if your heart ever feels stirred to donate, imagine it as placing another log on a fire. Each log keeps the flame burning brighter, warming those who sit in the cold. Your generosity is not demanded, it is a gift, a choice, an act of love that says, I want this fire to reach further, to keep others warm too. Think of a lighthouse again. It does not shine for itself. Its glow is for ships lost in storms. But the lamp only stays bright if oil is poured in. Every act of support, whether a click, a seed, or a gift, is oil in the lamp. And together, we ensure that no ship drifts without direction. Chosen one. Your breakthrough is about to burst forth, but part of its beauty is that it will ripple outward. When you step into abundance, you will not walk alone, you will carry many with you. When you rise, others will rise. That is the power of divine overflow. So, see your actions not as obligation but as participation. You are part of this river, this garden, this fire, this light. Every step of engagement you choose is a reflection of your faith, that breakthrough is not a selfish possession, it is a shared inheritance. The night has been long, but the dawn is rising, and with it comes the sound of breakthrough, quiet at first, then unstoppable, then undeniable. Chosen one. Prepare yourself. Stand ready. The horizon glows brighter with every passing moment, and soon the full light will flood your path. And when that light finally arrives, you will see clearly why the road was so hard, why the fire was so hot, why the waiting was so long. Every moment was preparing you for this unveiling. Breakthrough is not just an event, it is a testimony. And your testimony will be the evidence that God is faithful, His promises unshakable, and His timing perfect. Chosen one. Wealth is not merely about numbers in a bank account. It begins in the mind. Before abundance can fill your hands, it must first settle in your thoughts. This is why God often takes you through a process of renewing your perspective before releasing resources. He knows that money without wisdom becomes a burden, but wealth partnered with vision becomes a blessing. Think of a field. If the soil is rocky and shallow, even the best seeds cannot flourish. But when the soil is tended, stones removed, ground broken, nutrients added, those same seeds can produce an abundant harvest. Your mind is that field. God is clearing away the rocks of scarcity, fear, and doubt, so that the seeds of abundance can grow strong and steady, according to the writings in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is more than instruction, it is invitation to think differently, to see possibility where others see limits, to carry a vision bigger than your environment. I remember a man who always lived with a poverty mindset. He believed wealth was for others, not for him. Even when opportunities came, he sabotaged them, because deep down, he thought he was unworthy. Only when he encountered God's truth did he begin to shift. He realized that wealth was not about greed, but about stewardship. Not about taking, but about giving. Slowly, his thoughts changed. And as his thoughts changed, so did his actions. In time, he became a channel of blessing, not only sustaining himself, but uplifting many. Chosen one. Your millionaire breakthrough will not begin with coins. It begins with clarity. When your mindset shifts from lack to legacy, from fear to faith, doors begin to open. You start seeing opportunities others overlook. You start moving with courage others avoid. And you begin to carry the wisdom that keeps wealth from slipping away. Picture a cup placed under a waterfall. If the cup is cracked, the water leaks out, no matter how much is poured in. But if the cup is whole, it can hold and overflow. Your mind is that cup. God is sealing the cracks of self-doubt and limitation so that when He pours abundance, nothing is wasted. This is also why discipline is vital. A millionaire mindset is not built on sudden luck, but on steady principles. Just as a tree grows slowly, ring by ring, your thoughts must grow steady, layer by layer. Gratitude, patience, generosity, courage, these are the roots that hold wealth firmly in place. Without them, prosperity may come, but will quickly vanish. Chosen one. Remember, wealth is not the destination, it is a tool. It is like a lantern. Money by itself is just oil. But when placed in the lamp of vision, it produces light, and that light is what guides, protects, and blesses others. There will be days when fear whispers, "What if I fail? What if I lose it all?" But faith responds, "What if I succeed? What if I build something that outlasts me?" The difference between the two is the mindset you choose to nurture. Think of an eagle compared to a chicken. The chicken pecks at the ground, always worried about scraps, living only for the moment. But the eagle soars, seeing the horizon, understanding that provision comes not from frantic effort, but from perspective and patience. God is shaping you into an eagle-minded steward, one who looks higher and sees further. And as this mindset deepens in you, others will notice. Your conversations will change. Your decisions will carry weight. Your presence will bring stability. This is how generational wealth begins, not with sudden riches, but with a renewed mind that refuses to live small. Chosen one. Your millionaire breakthrough is closer than you think, but it must rest on a mindset ready to carry it. Let the renewing of your thoughts be your first inheritance. For once your vision expands, once your heart aligns, once your mind is made whole, everything else will follow in divine order. And never forget, chosen one, that wealth is not measured by what you keep, but by what you can release without fear. True abundance flows freely, like a river that never dries up because it is constantly moving. The more you learn to think this way, the more heaven can trust you with increase. Your millionaire breakthrough will not crush you, it will crown you, because your mind has already been trained to carry it with grace, humility, and purpose that glorifies God beyond measure. Chosen one. You have walked through fire, endured isolation, battled pressure, and begun renewing your mind. All of this has not been in vain. It has been preparing you for the sealing of your destiny. When God marks someone, no force on earth or in hell can erase it. You are not just wandering aimlessly. You are sealed with a prophetic destiny that sets you apart for wealth with purpose, for abundance with assignment, for prosperity that glorifies His name. Think of a royal seal in ancient times. When a king stamped his seal on a decree, it meant no one could alter the message. His authority guaranteed the outcome. In the same way, God has placed His seal upon you. The trials did not cancel it. The delays did not weaken it. The betrayals did not break it. His word over your life remains intact, carrying full authority into your future. The letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13 declares, "When you believed, you were marked in Him with a seal, the promised Holy Spirit." This is not just a comfort, it is a confirmation. The seal means you belong. You are protected, and your inheritance is guaranteed. I once knew a man who doubted his calling. Every setback made him question whether he had misunderstood God. But over time, he began to see small confirmations, doors opening when they should have stayed shut, people speaking words they could not have known, resources arriving at the exact moment of need. These were not coincidences, they were the seal of God manifesting. The man finally realized that his destiny was not fragile, it was divinely secured, chosen, one. You too carry that mark. You may feel weak at times, but your destiny is not held by your strength, it is held by His seal. Even when storms rage, the mark of heaven remains. Even when people doubt you, the seal speaks louder. Even when fear tries to creep in, the Spirit within you whispers, "You are mine, and I have chosen you." Oh, picture wax melting under fire, then pressed with a royal insignia. Once hardened, that impression cannot be undone. That is what God has done over your life. The fire you faced was necessary to soften you, and then heaven stamped you with identity and purpose. Now that the seal is there, nothing can erase it. This sealing also means your wealth is not random, it is prophetic. It is tied to assignments that go beyond yourself. The resources flowing toward you are not only for comfort, but for calling. They are meant to fund visions, rescue lives, and expand light where darkness has reigned. That is why your journey has been so intense, because your destiny carries weight. Chosen one, I want you to pause and reflect. Think of the confirmations you've received, dreams that felt too vivid to ignore, verses that leapt off the page, words from strangers that echoed your secret prayers. These were not accidents. They were heaven's way of stamping you again and again, reminding you of who you are. And now, as a prophetic act of agreement, I invite you to mark this moment in the comments with the number 4,444. This number speaks of stability, divine order, and foundation. By writing it, you are declaring, "My life is sealed. My foundation is sure. My destiny is aligned with heaven's design." Embo. This is not ritual, it is remembrance. Just as Israel set up stones of memorial after crossing the Jordan, your declaration is a marker that you are stepping into your wealthy place with certainty. The seal is on you, and nothing can overturn it. Chosen one, do not let doubt steal what is already guaranteed. You are not waiting to be chosen, you already are. You are not hoping for approval, you already have it. You are not striving for validation, the King has sealed you with His Spirit. So walk forward with confidence. The seal means your path is ordained, your breakthrough is secured, and your millionaire destiny is not a possibility, but a promise. And in time, the world will see it unfold exactly as heaven wrote it. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. Being sealed does not mean the absence of struggle, it means the outcome is certain. The enemy may press, storms may rage, and doubts may arise. But the seal is stronger than every attack. Just as a letter sealed by a king always reaches its destination, so too will your life arrive exactly where God intends. The number 4,444 you declared is more than digits. It is a symbol of stability, of being grounded in unshakable order, a reminder that your destiny cannot be shaken loose no matter what you face. Chosen one. When God begins to draw back the curtain of your future, He often allows you to glimpse pieces of what is coming. These visions of overflow are not fantasies, they are previews of promises. They come in dreams that feel too vivid to dismiss, in sudden imaginations that spark your spirit, in quiet nudges that whisper, "There is more prepared for you." Heaven gives you these glimpses not to tease you but to anchor you, to remind you that your story is not ending in lack but unfolding in abundance. Think of Joseph again. Long before he sat in Pharaoh's palace, he dreamed of sheaves of wheat bowing down, of stars and the sun paying homage. Those dreams were snapshots of the future. Though the pit and the prison seemed to contradict them, the visions were real, and in time, they spoke louder than his suffering. What you are seeing in your spirit, the sense of increase, the ideas that won't leave you, the images of standing in places you've never been are Joseph-like dreams. They are seeds of the reality God is preparing for you. The writings of the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verse 28 declare, "I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions." Dreams and visions are the language of heaven when God wants to point you forward. They break through the noise of ordinary life and deposit glimpses of extraordinary destiny. I recall a woman who often dreamed of standing in front of large gatherings, speaking words of encouragement. Though, in real life, she was quiet and unnoticed. She dismissed those dreams for years, thinking they were imagination. But slowly, doors began to open, first in small groups, then larger ones. One day, she stood exactly where her dream had placed her, realizing God had shown her a preview all along. What she saw in dreams was not random. It was prophecy in disguise. Chosen one. Do not dismiss your visions of overflow. They are not daydreams. They are instructions. They tell you what to prepare for, how to shape your mindset, where to aim your energy. If you see yourself managing resources, then study stewardship. If you dream of leading, then practice discipline. If you sense wealth flowing through you, then learn generosity now. Heaven will not give you visions without also equipping you to live them. Picture a painter sketching outlines before filling in color. The sketch by itself may look unfinished, but it guides the final masterpiece. Your visions are those outlines. They may not yet be filled with the colors of reality, but they are already shaping the framework of your destiny. Visions of overflow are also encouragement in the waiting. When everything around you looks barren, the memory of what you saw in prayer or in dreams becomes fuel. It whispers, "This is not all there is. More is coming." That whisper can keep you steady when circumstances shout otherwise. But hear this warning too. Not every vision comes from God. That is why discernment matters. True visions align with His word, carry peace even when they stretch you, and often repeat in ways you cannot ignore. Counterfeit visions flatter the ego, steer restlessness, or lead you away from obedience. Guard your heart. Chosen one. The overflow God shows, you will always serve a purpose greater than yourself. Think of a seed inside a fruit. When you eat the fruit, you enjoy sweetness. But hidden inside is the potential for multiplication. In the same way, your visions may appear as small joys or whispers, but inside them is the seed of nations, generations, and impact. They are not just about your comfort, they are about your calling. Chosen one. When you wake from a dream of abundance, when you sense a future that feels bigger than you, write it down, treasure it, revisit it. These are the blueprints of heaven for your life. And though the timing may seem uncertain, the vision is sure. Just as Joseph's dreams came true at the appointed moment, so too will yours. So lift your eyes beyond the trial. Let your heart rest in what you've seen. Overflow is not wishful thinking. It is divine preparation. You are not being set up for disappointment. You are being prepared for fulfillment. And every vision planted in your spirit will bloom when the season is right. Hold those visions close. Chosen one. They are not fragile dreams, but solid promises, waiting for their appointed hour. Even when reality looks barren, remember, heaven's preview never lies. What God has shown you will surely unfold in perfect time. Chosen one. Abundance is not simply a reward, it is a responsibility. When God pours wealth into your life, it is never meant to rest idly in your hands. It comes with weight, with calling, with assignment. Prosperity that is rooted in heaven does not revolve around self-indulgence, but flows into purpose. And because you are marked for overflow, you must also be prepared to carry the mantle of responsibility that accompanies it. Consider the life of Solomon. He asked not for riches, but for wisdom to lead. And in response, God gave him both wisdom and wealth. Why? Because wealth without wisdom is ruin. But wealth guided by wisdom becomes a tool for justice, peace, and influence. Solomon's riches were not just for splendor, they built a temple where God's presence dwelled, a place that impacted generations. Your resources will carry the same potential, to become more than comfort, to become covenant. According to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48, from everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded, and from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. This is both a reminder and a charge. Abundance is trust. Every blessing placed in your hands is heaven's way of saying, I trust you to steward this well. Oh, I once knew a man who finally achieved financial success after years of struggle. At first, he indulged every desire, buying what he had long been denied. But soon, the thrill faded, and he felt empty. It was only when he began giving funding schools, helping families, supporting missions that the weight lifted and joy returned. He realized that true fulfillment came not from possession, but from purpose. His wealth became a river, and in its flow, many lives were refreshed. Chosen one. The mantle of responsibility means seeing yourself not as an owner, but as a steward. Ownership says, this is mine. Stewardship says, this is entrusted to me for a season and for a mission. That shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, money is no longer about status. It becomes a sacred instrument to fulfill God's plans through you. Think of a lamp filled with oil. If the oil is hoarded, it spoils. But when poured into the lamp, It gives light, warmth, and direction. Wealth works the same way. It is not meant to stagnate, but to illuminate. When you release it with purpose, it shines far beyond your reach. This mantle also demands discipline. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword and a farmer tends his field, you must cultivate the habits that allow wealth to serve, not enslave. Discipline in planning, in giving, in restraint. These are not chains but safeguards. They ensure your abundance remains a blessing, not a burden. And understand this: responsibility does not diminish joy, it deepens it. There is a joy that comes from buying something new, but there is a greater joy that comes from building something lasting. There is a thrill in indulging, but there is fulfillment in investing in eternity. Each act of stewardship is a declaration that your wealth has meaning beyond the moment. Chosen one, carrying this mantle will set you apart. Others may chase riches for comfort, but you will channel riches for covenant. Others may see money as a destination, but you will see it as a tool. This difference will mark you as a true steward of heaven's treasury. Picture a bridge spanning a river. It does not exist for itself, but for those who cross it. Your wealth will be that bridge, connecting resources to needs, dreams to opportunities, brokenness to restoration. And when people walk across it, they will give thanks not only for the bridge, but for the God who empowered its builder. Do not shrink from this responsibility. It is evidence of heaven's trust in you. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you, but to anchor you. You are chosen not just to prosper, but to steward, to guide, to build. So prepare your heart now. Learn generosity in small things so you can carry it in great things. Cultivate discipline in hidden places so you can stand steady in public places. Let your wealth be more than numbers. Let it be narrative, telling the story of a life surrendered to divine purpose. Chosen one. The mantle of responsibility is not a burden to fear, but an honor to embrace. For when you carry it well, you will discover that prosperity is not fleeting pleasure, but lasting legacy. And your legacy will echo long after your hands are gone, proving that abundance in God's kingdom is always about more than you. It is about His plan flowing through you. Chosen one. There comes a moment when God no longer hides what He is doing in you. You have been tested in secret, refined in silence, and strengthened in solitude. But now, heaven prepares to lift you in plain sight. This is not about pride, it is about purpose. When God places His spotlight on your life, it is so the world can witness His faithfulness through you. Think of David. For years, he fought lions and bears in fields. No one noticed. But when the moment came, God placed him before Goliath, where every eye was watching. His victory was not just for himself, but for all of Israel. The hidden training became a public testimony. Your journey mirrors this pattern. The pain you carried in silence will soon give way to glory that cannot be denied. The writings of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, declare, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This is the call over you now, not to shrink back, not to dim yourself, but to stand where heaven has placed you and shine without apology. I recall the story of a woman who labored in obscurity. She gave, she prayed, she persevered when no one was watching. Then, suddenly, opportunities opened, invitation came. What she had carried in secret became visible to many. Those who once doubted her were astonished, and she could only point back to God, knowing it was His hand that placed her in the spotlight. Chosen one, when heaven lifts you up, it is not only to bless you, but to display His power through you. And as you rise, others watching from the shadows will gain courage. Your testimony will become their roadmap. Your light will guide them out of their own darkness. Now, pause, and let me speak gently about something deeper. This very message is like a lantern carried into the night. Its words are not for entertainment, they are oil for weary souls, light for tired hearts. And here is where your hands can join the mission. When you like and share this message, it is as if you are placing another lantern along the path. Somewhere, someone wandering in the dark may stumble upon that light and find their way home. It is not about clicks, it is about guiding feet through midnight valleys. When you subscribe, imagine yourself planting a tree beside a river. Each return brings shade and fruit, sustaining you and countless others who come to rest under its branches. It is not about growing numbers, it is about growing roots. And if your heart ever feels led to donate, see it as adding oil to a great flame. Each drop ensures the fire does not fade, that more can gather around its warmth, that ships lost at sea will still see the lighthouse burning bright. This is not about pressure, it is about participation in something eternal. Think of it this way: your engagement is not small. It is the ripple of a stone cast into a pond, spreading far beyond what you can see. Perhaps you will never meet the person who stumbles on this light, but in heaven's record, your act will be written. Chosen one. God's spotlight is not random. He is lifting you in front of those who doubted, not to shame them, but to show them what obedience looks like. Your rise will be a sermon without words, and every act of support you choose, whether a click, a seed, a gift, becomes part of that sermon, echoing far beyond you. So do not be afraid of the light. Do not hide from the stage heaven sets before you. Stand with grace, shine with humility, and let your life tell the story of a God who chooses the hidden ones and raises them high. For this is the hour when your crown is revealed, when your scars become your testimony, and when the very ones who mocked you will marvel at what God has done. And as you rise, others will rise too, carried by the light you chose to share. And when the light shines on you, remember, it is not meant to blind, but to guide. The spotlight of heaven is gentle, not harsh. It does not expose you to shame. It reveals you as evidence of grace. Those who once doubted you will see not just your success, but God's fingerprints all over your journey. Their disbelief will turn into awe, and even their hearts may be softened to believe in the one who lifted you. Chosen one. Wear this moment with humility. Do not fear it, and do not waste it. Heaven's spotlight is not fleeting fame, it is eternal testimony. Chosen one. The wilderness is not forever. Every step you have taken through dryness, silence, and waiting has been leading you towards something greater. You are now standing at the threshold of promise. The crossing may feel daunting, but the ground beneath your feet is shifting. You are moving out of wandering into possession, out of scarcity into overflow, out of delay into fulfillment. Think of Israel standing on the banks of the Jordan River. After years of wandering in circles, they finally saw the land flowing with milk and honey before them. The desert was behind, the promise ahead, but the river stood in the way. It took courage to step into those waters, to believe that what God had spoken was worth the risk of faith. And when their feet touched the river, the waters parted, making way for an entire nation to cross. What was impossible gave way to obedience. The book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 36 declares, "You need to persevere. So when God's will is done, you will receive what He has promised." The promise is not withheld. It is awaiting your perseverance. Every moment of holding on, every prayer whispered in the night, every act of faith in silence has been building toward this crossing. I recall a man who endured years of working in obscurity. His dreams felt distant, his prayers unanswered. Yet he remained faithful. Slowly, opportunities began to appear. First, small, then larger, and one day, it became clear. He had stepped out of his wilderness into his promise. The season of scarcity was no longer his identity. He had crossed over, and the ground he stood on carried fruit he had only once imagined. Chosen one. You may feel as though the wilderness has lasted too long, but understand this: wilderness is never wasted. It teaches resilience, strips away illusion, and prepares you to appreciate abundance without taking it for granted. Without the wilderness, the promised land would feel cheap, but with the wilderness behind you, every piece of fruit, every drop of provision will taste like victory. Picture a tree growing on the edge of a desert. Its roots push deep, searching for hidden water. At first, it seems slow, but over time, the roots anchor it so firmly that when the rains finally come, the tree does not wither. Instead, it flourishes more than trees grown in easy soil. That is you. The wilderness has driven your roots deep. Now, as you step into promise, you will flourish with strength others cannot explain. The crossing also means leaving behind certain things. Not everything and not everyone from the wilderness is meant to enter your promise. Just as Israel had to let go of old patterns of fear and doubt, you too must release what no longer aligns with the future. Scarcity thinking cannot cross over. Complaining cannot cross over. Fear cannot cross over. Only faith and obedience can walk into the new, chosen one. Remember that crossing into promise is not about ease, it is about fulfillment. The land may require labor, but it will also yield harvest. The work will continue, but it will no longer be survival, it will be stewardship. This shift is evidence that your testing has been completed and your preparation has been proven. Think also of a caterpillar breaking free from its cocoon. The struggle is intense, but it is necessary. The pushing and straining strengthen the wings so that when the cocoon finally breaks, the butterfly can fly. If the struggle were removed, the wings would be too weak. In the same way, your wilderness was your cocoon. Now, as you break out, you are ready to soar. So, take courage. Step forward. Do not look back with regret or forward with fear. The land before you is not a mirage. It is your inheritance. And just as surely as God sustained you in the desert, He will empower you in the promise. Chosen one. You are crossing over. The wilderness season is behind you. The promised place lies ahead. Walk forward with steady faith, knowing that what awaits you is not random, but written, not fragile, but secured by the one who called you from the beginning. And when your feet touch that new ground, you will feel the difference. No longer survival, but abundance. No longer wandering, but arrival. Each step will testify that God's promises never fail. And your journey, every tear, every trial was always leading here. This is your crossing, and the land ahead will bear fruit beyond what you imagined. Chosen one. Every trial, every delay, every hidden battle has been guiding you here to the unveiling of your destiny. This is not just a season of survival, it is the moment when the crown is placed upon your head. When the journey shifts from preparation to commission, you are rising as God's chosen millionaire. Not to flaunt wealth, but to fund purpose. To carry light into places where darkness has long reigned. Think of Esther. She was lifted from obscurity to royalty, not for comfort, but for calling. Her crown was not about gold or jewels, it was about timing, responsibility, and destiny. In the same way, your crown is not merely wealth in numbers, but authority and influence, generosity, and vision. You are crowned, not for yourself, but for the kingdom work entrusted to you. The writings of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 19 declare, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." This is the guarantee over your life. Abundance is not built on luck, but on divine supply. What he provides will not only meet your needs, but will overflow to meet the needs of many others through you. I recall a woman who carried a vision for years to build a shelter for children without homes. For a long time, it seemed impossible. She had no resources, no connections, no support. But in time, doors opened, opportunities aligned, resources flowed. When the shelter was finally built, she realized her millionaire breakthrough had never been about her comfort. It was about her calling. The crown she carried was not for herself alone, but for the countless lives touched through her obedience. Chosen one. Your crown is commission. It is a mantle laid upon your shoulders, calling you to walk differently, think differently, live differently. Others may chase wealth for applause, but you carry it for assignment. Others may see prosperity as an end, but for you, it is a beginning, the starting point of legacies, missions, and generational blessings. Picture a torchbearer in a dark stadium. When the flame is passed to them, they do not hold it close to admire, they run with it, igniting fires for others. That is your role now. The millionaire breakthrough you carry is not a possession to hoard, but a flame to share, a light to extend. This is why your journey had to be hard. Crowns are not placed on untested heads. God could not entrust this weight to you without first refining you. And now that you have endured, he knows you can carry it without arrogance, without fear, without faltering. Chosen one. The world may see the numbers, the resources, the outward blessing, but heaven sees more. Heaven sees a steward crowned with responsibility. Heaven sees a chosen one rising into commission. Heaven sees a torchbearer lighting paths for many. Your breakthrough is not just the end of lack, it is the beginning of legacy. You are stepping into a role where your obedience will ripple across lives, across nations, across generations. And long after your hands are gone, your crown will continue to speak. Because it was never made of gold alone, it was forged in fire, in tears, in faith. So, wear it humbly, carry it boldly. Let the world see not just your success, but your surrender. Not just your wealth, but your witness. For this is the hour when you rise, crowned and commissioned, chosen and unshakable, marked not only for blessing, but for building the kingdom. And remember this, chosen one. A crown is not placed on your head to decorate you, but to identify you. It says to the world, this one has been chosen, prepared, and trusted. Your wealth is a sign of trust from heaven. But the greater treasure is the assignment attached to it. You are called to be a living testimony, a vessel through which God's abundance flows with purpose. Do not shrink from this moment, and do not doubt your readiness. Every season of pain was sharpening you. Every delay was strengthening you. Every betrayal was teaching you. Now you rise not only with resources in your hands, but with wisdom in your heart. That combination, wealth and wisdom, makes you unstoppable. Picture a river swelling after heavy rain. It does not keep its waters locked away. It spills over its banks, nourishing the land. That is your destiny. The crown on your life means overflow, and your overflow will bring healing, opportunity, and transformation wherever it reaches. Chosen one, step forward into this calling. Wear your crown with reverence. Carry your commission with courage. And never forget, you are chosen to change the story of many. Chosen one. We have walked together from the fire of testing to the crown of commissioning. Every page, every word, every moment has been a reminder, you are not ordinary. You are marked. You are God's chosen, refined for abundance, lifted for purpose, crowned for destiny. But this journey does not end here. The words you've received are seeds, and seeds must be nurtured. They grow stronger when watered, when shared, when multiplied. That is where your hands can join in. When you like and share this message, it is like scattering seeds across many fields. You may never see every harvest, but heaven does, and the fruit will be abundant. When you subscribe, imagine planting roots beside a flowing river. Each return nourishes you, but it also strengthens the entire grove. So no tree stands alone. If you feel a word from this message has pierced your heart, leave a comment below, as if placing a stone of remembrance on your path. Each word you write becomes a marker of faith, reminding you and inspiring others that you have heard and received. And if your heart feels stirred to donate, think of it as adding oil to a lamp that never runs dry. Your oil keeps the flame burning, guiding those who would otherwise stumble in the dark. These are not demands. They are invitations, beautiful acts of alignment with the very message you've received, whether you engage a little or a lot. Know this, your part matters. Every click, every share, every word, every seed is a ripple of light in a world desperate for hope. Chosen one, walk away from this moment, knowing that heaven has sealed you. You are refined, prepared, and ready. Now rise into your calling with courage. Shine with humility. Give with freedom. Live with conviction. And let your life itself become the greatest sermon that God is faithful, His promises sure, and His chosen ones unstoppable.